Hey guys, it's Erin from Ginger's Florals. Today we have a momentary break in the weather, so I thought I would come out here and show you my low tunnel setup, how we do this. So we have 7 rows in this bed. This is our chicken coop garden. These first 2 rows have anemone in them, so I'm not worried about them. I'm not going to cover them. Yes, I have a whole lot of weeding to do. I've got my tools out. We're ready to go. That's going to be the next project, but I thought I'd show you this. So there's 7 rows, and we have currently 3 of them covered. These 2 right here are waiting for more plastic to show up. I thought I had enough. Apparently I threw some out last year. Either way, I can show you. This actually makes it easier to show you. So first things first, we have 4-foot wide beds, and I needed to make these hoops. So I went to Johnny's Seed and bought one of these hoop benders, and you can get them in a couple different sizes. The one that we went with, obviously, for our 4-foot beds was a 4-foot hoop bender. And then we went out and got 25-ish 10-foot long pieces of 1/2-inch conduit. And so the way you have to do this to make it work on a 4-foot bed, we took the 10-foot pipes, we cut them down to 9-foot for just to make it work with the size and the size of the bend and the size of the plastic. We bent them all, and then once that was ready to go, we came in with rebar. So some places, depending on how heavy duty your soil is, we have a lot of thick, heavy clay. You may not need rebar. You may be able to use like the fiberglass stakes. But we took some 10-foot pieces of rebar, cut them down to 2.5 feet a piece, and then I went down each of these rows, and I ran a string line and and hammered these in about halfway, so foot and a half, somewhere in there. Each spot that I wanted to put one of these posts, one of these hoops. So these beds are 20 foot long, so four hoops was plenty. So once the rebar was in, you have to have a way to attach the string. You can see it right here. This blue baling twine, this is what I'm using to hold the plastic in place, but I needed something for that to attach to on the rebar. So what I did was I took some of what we had on hand, which is this coated wire. It's for soft ties on plants, and I just used that. Once those were all set up and ready, and the rebar was in the ground, basically we just slid these hoops on. It sounds easier than it was, but they really just sit on top of those rebar. The reason I needed it to be that deep is in case we have strong winds or even light winds, it turns into a bit of a sail, or if we have heavy snow, we need to make sure that these will hold up. And the rebar really is the only way that we can do that here. So now there is something to note on the end. The hoops on the ends, they are in at an angle. You can see here. They're down at an angle so that there's no chance that they're going to flop this way, and it gives it something stable when we tie them off. The next step was to make sure that we had something to tie the ends of the plastic to. So these are all set up. What we have at the end of each row, because we have limited space. Ideally, this would be out further and you can anchor it more, but we don't have super high winds, so I'm not as worried about it. But we took, again, more rebar At least one of them down the way, we have T-posts, whatever you can use. And we anchored that down into the ground so that it's ready to take the plastic. Then, and I'll try to capture and add it to this video when we do these 2 other rows. It's probably going to be tomorrow because I'm not expecting my delivery until it's going to be dark out, and I'm not doing this in the dark. But once these are all set, you've got your anchor points. What we do is we take, like I said, these are 20-foot rows. So we add an extra 5 feet on each end, give or take. Well, if it's going to be anything, it needs to be longer. And we just drape it over the top of each of these hoops. We start at one end and we start twisting the plastic until we can slide it behind the anchor point. And I literally just use a zip tie to tie it off. I get it down there and I twist it and pull it tight and zip tie it into place, and it stays pretty darn well. And then we come down to the other end and we really do the same thing. However, once we have that first point anchored, you can pull this really tight, much tighter than you could before, and it will hold it further in place. It's really important that these anchors are good and sturdy, because when you get a lot of water, a lot of snow, any of that, these are going to want to pull, and it'll pull the plastic. Okay, now that part's all done, you've got your fabric draped over it. The hoops are all in place, your anchors are all in place. The last thing you need to do that we did is to tie it off so that the covers actually stay in place. So I have this, like I said, this baling twine, and I took 20-foot lengths, make a loop at the end, tie a little knot so that you can access it. And then it's really easy if you have 2 people, but basically it just loops through that green coated wire and comes back over to the other side, and then goes through on the other side, same thing, and then you have the one end that'll come back to you. You've got to make sure that you have one side of the rope or string or twine, whatever you're using, on one side of the hoop and the other side on the other. And then you just tie them off, cinch it tight and tie them off. And once that's there, it's really not going anywhere. The string on either side of the hoop gives just enough tension that it'll hold its place. And the really cool part, which I'm about to do right now, is that you can pull up the sides of your cover, and generally it'll stay in place, and it'll allow you to let air flow through and everything else that it needs. When it gets super cold, last year I ended up running some smaller frost cloth hoops in there along with these ones, and I ran Christmas lights in there, and it kept everything nice and cozy all the way through. This also allows, along with the airflow, it allows access, so I can get in there and I can do the weeding that I need to do. I can do the fertilizing that I need to do. There's 2 main reasons that I here use these low tunnel covers. Well, besides the fact that I don't have a big high tunnel that I can grow these guys in. But we are a zone 8, but we do occasionally freeze pretty hard. Ranunculus really are only happy if they stay above 28 degrees. If they get colder than that below, there's a good chance that it'll kill the corms, and then you lose your flowers. The other big reason is for moisture control. We have so much rain this time of year. If you've watched any of my videos recently, you've seen we've just had, I don't know, storm after storm after storm with inches and inches of rain with each one. It's just been pretty crazy. And it's been warm. It's been really weird. In fact, check this out. There are anemones blooming. This should not be happening this time of year. But these guys with the covers on, I can redirect the rainwater away from the actual plants so they can get a little reprieve from that, and it doesn't wash away all of the nutrients that are in the ground. And they don't rot that way either. So the two main reasons, the cold and the rain for us. A lot of places, if you don't have really wet winters, you probably need to make sure that you have irrigation running in here, because the covers will keep it dry. And if it's a relatively hot, if it's a warm sunny day, you're going to want to make sure to open up those covers and let the air flow. Otherwise it can get too hot too quickly for your ranunculus and your anemone, and they just won't thrive. But that's about it for how we do these covers. I was asked a few times last year, so I wanted to show you the basics. None of these are my ideas. I've taken a course, I've watched tons of videos, and just learned what worked best for me in my garden, and something similar could work for you. I know that you can buy ready-made hoops, which would be really nice. That might even work better for your situation than what I've got. But if you live somewhere like I do, where it gets just cold enough, just wet enough, it might be worth it to put up some hoops. I do have some hopes and dreams to be able to use some of these out in the field later on in the spring when these guys don't need it anymore. But I might be able to start some zinnias outside earlier, zinnias or any of those heat lovers. If I put them under cover, they'll get warm enough, the soil will warm up faster, and I might actually have better luck. Okay guys, I hope that this was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, hit a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.